Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chiseled. And why do we call it Chiseled? Because we're all a work in progress. I'm your host, Rob Commodari. I'm also the author of the book Better Than You Think and co-author of the book Next Level Your Life. But today, it's not about me. It's about Jim Keys. Jim Keys has an amazing story. He's from Boston, or is it Massachusetts, Grafton, Massachusetts, where he was born and raised. But he doesn't have that accent. I don't know why. I don't know where it went. But anyway, we'll get a little bit of that. But so he's brought up in Boston or Massachusetts. And he's got a crazy story coming out of the gate. And I'll let him tell it. I don't want to give any of that away, but it was a tough upbringing. And then he's all these big accomplishments from, I think it was Citgo. Were you CFO or CEO or CEO of Citgo?
Oh, no. I was just a lowly head of planning. That's all.
Head of planning. All right, we'll start there, but that's not where it ends, right? End up being working for 7-Eleven. He was CEO of 7-Eleven. I got that right. And the CEO of Blockbuster one time. So Jim's had an amazing career. He's written a book called Education is Freedom. We'll talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about this thing, this dialogue between faith and reason. So, Jim, welcome to the show. Thank you for your time. I appreciate that. And look forward to talking to you today.
Thanks, Rob. Great to be with you.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, I mentioned you're from Massachusetts. You're one of 6 kids. You grew up in a 3-bedroom house, and I want you to go from there. Tell me a little bit about that. Tell the audience about that, and then we'll get to how you got from there to being the CEO of these big companies.
Yeah, come on. I still got the accent.
There it is.
Comes back, you know. You give me a little pizza and beer.
Where's the army at?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you a Patriots fan, by the way?
Yeah, you can't lose it. I lived with them for so many years that they were kind of hapless. But yeah, I became a Patriots fan as a kid, and of course, I'm still an avid Red Sox fan. But lived in Dallas a long time, so I've adopted the Cowboys.
Okay, all right, good. Yeah, that's right. You're in Dallas now.
Yeah, as long as the Cowboys don't play the Pats, I'm cool.
Well, what about the Red Sox? If they're playing the Rangers, what do you do?
That's hard. I like a close game.
Okay. I'm a diehard Orioles fan, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
So
I had a lot of respect for them in the day.
In the day, we better get it back.
Yeah, you know,
because we're coming. So Jim, yeah, tell us about your upbringing because it wasn't easy, and I love the story we chatted a little bit the other day.
Yeah, it was interesting. Let's say I like to call it today. As a kid, it was more like camping. We had a 3-room shack with no running water, and when you're growing up as a kid, that's just the way you live. You don't think a lot about it. So it turns out after all these years, I look back on it and I realize how much of an advantage that gave me in life. It was a challenge that sometimes life's biggest challenges turn into our biggest opportunities. That made me who I am today.
Yeah, so 3-bedroom house, no running water. So look, I'm one of 7 kids. We grew up in a 2-bedroom house with 1 bathroom.
There you go.
The fights. I know the fight. There you go. There's your Boston right there. There you go. But I knew the fights and arguments I got in with my brothers and sisters trying to get into the bathroom in the house.
Yeah.
What was it like in your situation?
At least you didn't have to shovel a path, 100 yards out.
Is that what it was like?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I was the youngest. So my older brothers got to shovel the path, and I still had to trudge out there to use it.
Wow, that's crazy. And then, so at an early age, you had some hardships. If you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, it was just one of those things that as a kid you deal with, but my mom left that situation when I was like 5 years old because, frankly, tough life, especially for a woman. So she ended up in a trailer park where they had running water at least. And so I had just a lot of disruption. They ended up dead. They ended up condemning the house. Had basically crisis after crisis as a kid. But it turned out okay. And that's the message that I carry in the book. Adversity is something that everybody faces in different degrees. It could be, you don't have to have your house condemned to have adversity. You could have any manner of challenge. But What matters is how we respond to those challenges, not the challenge themselves. And I discovered that at an early age. Thankfully, I kept my head up. Didn't see myself as a victim. And I said, I'll get through this, and there's going to be an opportunity on the other side of this crisis. And there always was.
But Jim, how did you come to that realization? Did somebody coach you? Did you just figure this out yourself? How did that
happen? I wish I had a definitive answer for that, but I really don't. I think I may have witnessed that my brothers took a different path. And not all of them, but we all have different family members, and I saw what works and what doesn't work. I saw one brother become more of a victim, struggle a lot, fought the circumstances, didn't really apply himself, and more or less gave up, resigned himself to the fact that this is the way it is. And that force took him down a completely different path. And I chose not to go down that path. I wanted a different path. And I think it may have been the teachers in my life, those teachers that you have along the way that encouraged me, and I've turned to learning and working hard. And every time at every corner, I would find an opportunity in the crisis.
Yeah. Well, did you see it as like, I mean, if you want to go there, like, was there a lot of, like, where the brothers reacting? You say, well, reaction doesn't work. Let me respond. Did you play on that, react and respond?
Yeah, it's one of those things you can. I saw one of my brothers ended up being very negative about the circumstance, and I could have done the same thing. I mean, let's face it, we all have a tendency as humans to react to external stimuli. We can react negatively. We can lash out. We can fight. We can go down a dark path. Or we can react positively and say, I'll get through this. It's not me. It's the circumstances. And if I keep my head about me and if I keep a smile on my face, I'll figure this out and it'll be okay.
Yeah, so it comes with a lot of resilience, right?
It ended up building a lot of resilience in me. And, I'll give you an example, Rob, but my nickname as a kid, and I hated it, was Smiley.
Smiley?
Smiley. Now, I mean, think about it. The stuff I'm going through. I got a dad who's sick, ends up dying. I got a house that's condemned. I had a 3-room shack, no running water. I had, a bad situation. My mom living in a trailer park and having this, guy in her life. And it was just a mess across the board. And yet, here's my nickname, Smiley, which I hated, by the
way. Yeah.
I joked today that, I'm sure I was like, don't call me Smiley, I'll beat you up, as I said with a smile on my face,
Yeah. So do you look back and you said you hated it then? Do you hate it now?
Yeah. I don't know. It was a bad nickname. It was like, come on, don't make fun of me. They're making fun of me.
Well, look, they used to call me burnt tennis ball.
Well, see, you know how it feels.
Yeah, Brillo pad. Look at it. So, but good. It's awesome. But obviously you didn't like it then. When you hear it now, does it trigger any bad memories at all? Or?
No, not at all. When I hear it now, I laugh about it being an example of that resilience. It was like nothing was going to keep me down. Yeah. Even somebody making fun of me was not going to keep me down. It was their issue, not mine. I kept my head the whole time, kept it up, and moved forward in spite of the circumstances that were around me. And I used, Rob, you want to hear a great story?
Yeah, please.
So, I grew up Baptist. My dad was Baptist, sang in the choir, the whole thing as a little kid. And my mom was Catholic. So they were both people of faith, but very different. And I ended up, after losing my dad, I joined the Catholic Church. And then all of a sudden discovered the uniqueness of the Catholic Church and the Holy Spirit, and have in recent years been traveling around the country on the legatus, so Catholic business, sort of doing talks like we're sharing right now. And I tell the story that I've learned the Bible verse, James 1:12. Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. And I kind of own that. It was, yes, I've got this. And it says right in the Bible that if you stay the course, that you'll find opportunity on the other side, and that this is part of life. I was at a legatus conference recently in Springfield, Massachusetts. It happened to be, and this I believe is the power of the Holy Spirit, happened to be booked a year in advance. I didn't realize it was the day before my sister's 85th birthday. She had no idea what I did. Mm-hmm. And she was able to attend. She was probably the most devout Catholic in my family.
Okay.
And I was able to present this to her, and I presented maybe wanting to impress my sister. I put this James verse from the book of James in my Bible called Education is Freedom. But I've never used it in a speech because I'm just not one of these guys that does Bible quotes and verses and stuff like that.
Right.
But I thought, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to impress my sister. So I actually wrote it down because I wanted to get it right. And I'm doing the legatus talk, and I deliver this explanation. I talk about my childhood and hers. She's right in the audience. I deliver this passage of blessed is the man who remains steadfast in trial. And I look out in the audience, and here's a young man in his 40s, not young, and he's visibly moved, like on the verge of tears. And I said, wow, this is really interesting. I wonder what made this person in the audience react. And after the talk, he came up to me, and he said, Jim, I want to share with you something really important to me. He said, I'm a lawyer. I've been going through a lot of strife in my life, a lot of stress. First time ever in my life I've experienced this much adversity. And he said, your use of that passage from the book of James really hit me hard and positively. And he said, the reason is my dad just this morning sent me via text that exact same.
Wow, I got chills, Jim. I got chills.
Is that the power of the Holy Spirit?
Yeah, when you said that, I could feel it coming. I just got chills run down my back just now.
Absolutely. This is why, people say, well, why are you doing this? Why did you write this book? Why are you out there doing these talks all over the country, all over the world? It's those moments that you say, now I know why.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jim, that's so powerful when you said that, because I think there's a lot of people that don't have the patience to wait that out, right?
Right.
Because, I don't know, are you a fan of contemplative prayer? You ever heard that language?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I did contemplative prayer years ago. I do it now, but I was so dialed in years ago, and I try to do it every day, but it's hard. And I just remember I was doing it for like 6 years, and while I was doing it, things didn't happen right away, but I remember things would happen, and I'd be like, I got it now. I got it.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the power of the Holy Spirit working, and He's nurturing, He's cultivating your mind and your heart, and He's working through you. So that's powerful.
Oh yeah, it was really a beautiful moment, and his one of the priests was sitting next to him, who was friends with his dad, And I literally was able to pull the card that I had written it down on.
Jeez.
And I told his dad, I told the priest the story, and I said, please give this to his dad. Tell him thanks.
Wow. Well, I got to ask this question. What about impressing your sister? What did she say?
Yeah, she was like, yeah.
but we both know. What's that?
You know how family is.
Oh, yeah. But you and I both know the real reason you were supposed to do it was for that guy.
Yeah, and it really was. It really was. But, I mean, it was a blessing that my sister was there, and it was the reason I actually felt I needed to do this was because of her presence. But it wasn't her presence at all. It was because this guy needed to hear that.
That's amazing. So when you're going around the country speaking now, like I'm sure you have those moments periodically, or maybe every time. I don't know. Does that happen?
I do. I have people come up to me and share their story. I have had people following one of these talks say, I took your message back, and here's what I did, and here's how it changed my life. And it's a beautiful thing.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Jim. I mean, I want to come back to that, but I know some of the audience is probably waiting to hear, well, how did this guy from a 3-bedroom shack and no running water get to be CEO? Can we hit that real quick, and then I'm going to get into faith and reason in your book. I want you to share that because I know people are wondering.
Yeah, sure. I just got lucky, you know. I mean, I hit the lottery, and they called me up one day and said, hey, you want to run this company? And
you and I both know it ain't luck.
I have some people that believe that.
Yeah. So what was that journey like?
It was a pretty amazing journey. I started out literally it was fueled by education, and continues to be fueled by education. The essence of my book, and I hope your audience will take a look at it and give it a chance. It's called Education is Freedom. And what I learned is that the more I learn, the more I can do. Still today, not just in high school, college, but I became a sponge, and it opened up doors. It opened up amazing opportunities. So when I wrote the book called Education is Freedom, it was a realization that my lifelong learning, my commitment to lifelong learning, is what fueled my ability to do anything. My ability to write a book, my ability to paint, my ability to write music. I've got a version of the Lord's Prayer that will make you cry.
Is that right?
Yeah. I did an adaptation to Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah.
Oh my! I was just listening to that yesterday.
Oh, I'll share this adaptation with you, and it's really powerful. But I can do these things because I've learned, and I've discovered that I can learn anything, literally anything. And that was my path ultimately to the road to CEO. That when I got to the corporate world, most people think, I looked around, most people thought they were done learning. But I realized that my degree was a license to learn. So I turned that into a process of continual learning, which to me, all these books about leadership and leadership by this and leadership by that's all a bunch of crap. Leadership is about learning.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing because, like, I got to ask this question. I might ask you the other day. Did you, when you started getting into the education and knowing you had to grow your mind and learn, did you have a goal to be a CEO, or that just happened because of different circumstances?
Yeah, I had no goal at all. I wish I could say I had this plan all carefully crafted. Honestly, Rob, I didn't know what a CEO was.
Except 3 letters.
I was clueless, and I've renamed the role CEO to the acronym Change Equals Opportunity.
Love that.
Well, and because it doesn't matter if you're CEO of a company or CEO of your own life, change is going to happen. And if you have a combination, I'm gonna lead you into this, of knowledge, faith, there's nothing that you can't do. right? I mean,
It's amazing. Yeah, you're segueing. You know it.
yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And
But along the way, Jim, because we're going to go there, but you're learning and you're saying there's nothing I can't do. But we know that there's challenges and there's crises along the way. And when are those challenges and crises, are they like, do you see them as like litmus tests? Or if it just didn't work that way, let me try it another way?
yeah, here's the formula that I use. And if you really want to get woo woo, I'll tell you how I got this formula.
Go.
You sure you want to go there?
I'm there. I'm ready. The audience is ready.
I had a dream. My name's really Martin Luther King. No. I had. This is different.
Okay.
No trademark there.
It's great.
In all seriousness, I woke up one morning with the most powerful dream I'd ever had. And I swore I was in the presence of the Holy Spirit. I had that thing that you hear when people pass, have one of those near-death experiences. I had that. The bright light, the incredible feeling of warmth and love. And, I mean, it was just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I was just in amazement. But I was told I have a gift if I do three things. And I was set off. And I accomplished all three tasks. I won't take you through all the details of the task, but it was fascinating. I accomplished all three, and then I woke up. And I was all upset. I didn't get my gift. And I didn't want this dream to end. It was so beautiful.
Uh-huh.
But in the end, after passing the third of three tests, I was given almost a spiritual embrace, a warm hug. Congratulations. You passed the test. This is your gift. And then I woke up. So
you don't know what the gift was at the time.
I didn't. I had no idea. I woke up my wife and said, I got to tell you this. I have to share this dream because I don't want to forget it. So I have to tell you. And I wrote down three things on a piece of paper first because I didn't want to forget those three things I passed, three tests I passed. And as I explained them, she said, and I explained them saying, I'm so upset I didn't get my gift. And she said, that is your gift. And I was like, what? And she said, change, confidence, and clarity. So the very first thing is that you grew up facing all kinds of horrible change. And then you got in your career and your company is bankrupt and you have to deal with it. And you come out the other side with a better company and a better career. Who does that?
Right.
And over and over and over, I've seen you deal with all kinds of crises that you turn into opportunities. So you make change into opportunity. And you do that because of the second gift. You have a sense of confidence that she said, I don't know where it comes from. But you believe you can do anything, that you can learn how to do anything. And so you have this confidence that there is no crisis that you can't overcome. And then you have a sense, the third, of clarity in both listening and understanding things and breaking complex problems into simple, solvable terms. And then you've got a way of explaining them that people can wrap their head around that even I explain. I understand your strategy for the company. Because if you can't explain something well enough, no one can execute it. So those three things, the ability to embrace change, the confidence to do something about it, and the clarity to deal with challenges and to execute a path through those challenges, that is your gift. And by the way, in your dream, you were told you have to share this gift with others. And that's what I'm doing.
So that's in the book.
It's the foundation of the book.
Well, because I was going to ask you, are you sharing that story on stage?
I'm sharing that story on stage selectively, depending on the crowd.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't go through the whole, religious experience associated with it. But I share these fundamentals, and I'll give you an example of one of those Holy Spirit moments, right? A kid came up to me, a video called The School of Hard Knocks, right after I wrote the book. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get anybody to be aware of this book? And he came up to me in a shopping center and said, let me ask you, how did you get to be CEO? And I didn't go through the whole story. I just said, I'll give you a gift. I said, this is my gift. Change, confidence, clarity. I went through that example. That little video that he did immediately got like 20 million views. I think today it's been over 50 million. And this is on TikTok, Instagram. So these are kids learning on these social media platforms from an old guy like me, who's able to share his gift with other people, and hopefully they will see it too as a gift, and they'll embrace this idea that change is opportunity.
Yeah. That's so powerful, Jim. I mean, and thank you for sharing that. And like you asked me, are you sure you want to go down that road? And look, man, I told you the story, how this podcast came about. And just for the audience, I was talking to Jim. I was telling him the story, how this came about having this vision, the Holy Spirit talking to me. And I mentioned Holy Spirit, I think 3 times in our conversation. And your first question was, are you Catholic? And I said, yeah, of course. And, because that's where I'm at, right? And I judge no one for wherever they are, right? I think we're all on the same path to get to the same place, I hope. And, you get there the way you get there. But it's just, I think the Holy Spirit works in these ways, like you're explaining. And like, when Jesus, after he resurrected and he's in the room with the apostles and he's eating and he's ready to leave, it says he breathed the Holy Spirit on the apostles. And he says, in times of trial and tribulation, don't worry about what to say. The Holy Spirit will guide you.
Yeah, exactly. So Rob, when I wrote the book, I thought, now do I tell this story as a representation of my Catholic faith, etc.? And I stepped back and said, if I do that, I'm going to speak to a limited audience. I want to speak to the world.
Right.
I don't care if a kid grows up Muslim, Jewish, no faith. It doesn't matter. I want to have them embrace this learning, right? Because I wasn't told, go share this with your fellow Catholic. In fact, I think it may be others without faith that can use this the most. So in the book, I tried to stay completely agnostic. And I actually used a quote by Paulo Coelho, who wrote the book The Alchemist, right?
Right. I have it.
Yeah, and Coelho said, if you want something bad enough, the universe will conspire to make it happen. And I use that as a metaphor for faith. I also quote Yoda, because Yoda, when he was teaching Luke in Star Wars, he talked about the importance of recognizing that fear was the path to the dark side, and that the antidote to fear, which leads, by the way, to anger, or ignorance leads to fear, fear leads to anger, and anger leads to violence. It's a very negative cycle. That's the dark side that Yoda described. And the antidote to ignorance, of course, is knowledge. And he said to Luke, you have to have knowledge to eliminate fear, but you also have to have the force. May the force be with you, right? I mean, you don't have to be Catholic to understand that the force is your faith, right?
Yeah.
And so I've been going around quoting Yoda and quoting Paulo Coelho. And next month, in actually a few weeks, I am off to Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and I'm going to be talking about it.
Wow.
But I'm going to be sharing this gift from the Holy Spirit in places that I probably won't talk a lot about the Holy Spirit, but I'll still be sharing the importance of faith and reason as the antidote to fear, and the way to replace this negative cycle of fear and violence and anger with a positive cycle of knowledge and faith lead to understanding. Understanding leads to hope. Hope leads to peace. And it's a far better solution for humanity to embrace knowledge and faith as the ultimate solution to every issue that society faces.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. I'm really. In fact, I don't have your book yet. I got to go buy the book, and I'm going to read that book.
Well, thank you. It's out there on Amazon.
Yeah, I know. I looked it up before I got on here. But
yeah,
so you want to go? I mean, you already started down that road of faith and reason, because we were talking about that the other day, and you also talked about I think it was Pope John Paul. He was part of the inspiration to that. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, he wasn't. I never knew until I was out talking about this. My whole premise has been that fear is the enemy of us as individuals. It's the enemy of corporations, because it creeps in and it stops corporations from speaking. It's the enemy of society. It's the cause ultimately of war and terrorism and problems. It's all fear based. And as I went through this logic of eliminating fear with knowledge, and the analogy of when you're a kid and turning a light on in the dark because you're afraid there's a monster in the closet or something, and when you turn the light on, you realize there's nothing to be afraid of. And so I've been out talking about this combination of knowledge and fear and faith being the antidote to fear. And in the course of doing it, I did research into, for example, that passage from James. I discovered that the most common or frequently used expression or passage in the Bible, 365 times, do not be afraid. 365 times, one for every day of the year. I love that coincidence. Or is it?
Right.
Right? And so I'm out delivering this message, and someone said to me, it sounds like something John Paul wrote about the balance between faith and reason. And I said, well, what was that? And I went and looked it up following that session where someone shared that with me. I think it was one of our fellow Legatus members that shared it. Could have been, a gentleman named Steve Marcus, I believe, shared that with me. Another Massachusetts guy. And but I looked it up, and sure enough, in 1998, Pope John Paul II wrote a treatise on this balance of faith and reason. And I was actually shocked because I didn't expect this from a man of faith. I expected a much heavier weight on the faith side.
Okay.
And less relevance in the reason side. That's just what I guess was quite the opposite. He said too much faith, and you end up with superstition or conspiracy. Too much reason, and you're a nihilist or materialist. And he said neither of those are good for humanity. But he said it's the balance that makes humans very special. Because he said, think of it as two wings that elevate the human spirit to seek the truth. Now, I love that.
Yeah.
two wings that elevate the human spirit, lift the human spirit to seek truth. It says it all.
Wow. That's powerful, Jim. Have you always been like you're like I can feel the energy. I feel your conviction. I feel it. Have you always been like that, or was it like when you like early on in your I guess your education years and your college years, whatever? When did you get that?
Rob, I don't know. This is called gratitude. I am at the stage of my life that I recognize everything I have comes from this balance in my life, faith and reason, that gives me that confidence, that gives me that ability to deal with change, and it gives me the ability to communicate it. So I'm just, it's fueled by gratitude.
But there wasn't a switch in time where you can go back and say, so such and such happened, and that's when it happened for me. It's just been like this gradual experience.
I wish. No, it's been a gradual experience. I can't say there was one moment of epiphany, but if anything, it was that dream that it was probably 20 years ago that was a wake up call for me to realize, hey, I can do anything.
Yeah.
And it was shortly after. Oh, I didn't finish the story. Dream happened shortly after being named CEO the first time.
At 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was having that, imposter syndrome moment of, wow, I'm the dog that caught the car. Am I worthy? Can I do this? I was having that, and the dream occurred. You're going to love this. I didn't realize when it occurred. It's Christmas morning.
No way.
Yeah. Once my wife said to me, by the way, that's your gift. She also reminded me, and by the way, it's Christmas morning.
The day we got all these gifts, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, it probably helped that I had gone to midnight mass the night before.
So, Jim, you shared it with your wife. Now, the first time you shared this publicly, let's just say, or whether it was in the book or wherever you shared it, did you have anxiety to do that?
I couldn't. 3 years. I couldn't.
Really? Yeah. That's so. Well, you had to grow into that.
Yeah, I did, because it was such a powerful experience that I could not do it without becoming very emotional.
Yeah. I love that, because look, Jim, I told you about this, right? And I'm looking at the chair I was sitting in the morning it happened to me, when I felt this energy, and these words were a work in progress, and I saw a vision of a half chiseled statue, and I'm like, what's the message here, And I'm like, okay, you want me to do a podcast called Chiseled because we're all work in progress, and you're still a work in progress. You said you're still learning.
Oh yeah, I have no idea, and I have no idea where this is going. I have no idea why I am even doing this, other than this belief that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And when I have those moments, when someone comes up to me and says, "You really, really touched me, and you have your advice is going to help," then you realize, okay, I'm cutting through the clutter. I'll give you an example. I had no social media experience. None. I hadn't done podcasts like this. I'm a corporate guy, right? Stand up in front of boards. And all of a sudden I had this social media presence, and I have these inbounds. Well, I had an opportunity to partner with a young man called Mr. Bees, who has an audience on social media of 260 million young people from all over the world.
I've heard of this, Mr. Bees, right?
Yeah. He's a young man called Jimmy Donaldson's 26, 27 years old. And he started at 14 doing YouTube videos. He has developed this massive worldwide following for young people. And he's teaching philanthropy. He started just doing silly videos, and then he realized, well, I might as well turn it into something good. So he started building water wells in Africa. and helping people with vision, macular degeneration, or whatever, gain their eyesight. He's doing all this good stuff around the world. And he reached out, his people reached out and said, how'd you like to partner with your new book? I mean, this is one of those small miracles that happened. I had little awareness of who he was, other than the size of his audience. So I partnered. He held up my book in a video and said, if you'll read this book and put out a video on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, telling your friends why education is freedom, then you can win one of $10,000 scholarships.
That's amazing.
Rob, it's a beautiful thing. I have had the privilege now of granting these scholarships to kids from Uganda, Kenya, El Salvador, Jamaica, all over the world, right here in the United States. And when they learn, when a young person from Uganda learns that they're going to earn a $10,000 scholarship, it's a life-changing experience. It's such a beautiful thing.
So your cup's getting full along the way.
Oh, I mean, it's a gift. It's such a gift.
Yeah. So when did you say you're going to Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and all that? When did you say you're going there?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
And is that through Legatus?
Inbound.
Really?
Yeah. There's one YPO group, a couple of young entrepreneur groups. I've got some friends over in Dubai that have helped set up a couple of events.
Uh-huh. And so, do you ever pinch yourself?
All the time. Like I said, this whole mission is fueled from gratitude.
Yeah.
I have every day for me is a new adventure, and I have no idea where it's going.
Uh-huh.
I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, I love that, because that takes faith there too. Because you said I have no idea where it's going, but I'm excited.
Yeah, no idea. But that's been my from the time I was a kid. I had no idea where it was going. You said, did you grow up thinking you'd be a CEO? I couldn't spell CEO as a kid. I had no idea.
Wow. So, Jim, I'm going to ask you this question. Can I ask everybody the question? You already answered it, but I'm going to ask it a different way. How much more chiseling do you think you have going on in your life?
Well, you'll appreciate this. I told you I was an artist, and I also sculpt.
Okay. Oh my God.
And so I understand the chiseling, and I don't think it'll ever be done.
Yeah.
There's no beginning or end to your opportunity to grow and keep chiseling.
Yeah. Do you read a lot of books?
Yeah.
They say the average CEO reads 50 to 60 books a year. Did you fall into that category?
Yeah, I say I read books. I fly through books. I don't probably give them their due because I have a kind of a driven curiosity. So I'll grab the latest, book by Tom Condon wrote one on AI and education. I'll blow through it in a matter of hours.
It's like speed reading, you mean? You skim?
Grab whatever nuggets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't do justice to the literature.
It's hard, but so in your years you were doing all that throughout the years of those books, yeah, and like I like was it Tremendous Charlie Jones? He said you become the books you read, and I think that
and the people you meet.
I'm sorry,
and the people you meet.
Yeah, right. The people you meet and the books you read. That's what he said. Yeah, and that's where like your education is freedom. So I'll ask you this question: what does freedom mean to Jim Keys?
It, to me, means the opportunity to enjoy the richness of life, whatever that means to anyone. And it could be the freedom to just live on Walden Pond and enjoy the beauty and peace of nature.
Yeah.
In my case, it's the curiosity that drives me to want to explore the world and different cultures. And I'm a big space geek, so I'm even looking out into the universe, saying, could I possibly be one of those intrepid explorers that get out there? I'm getting a little long of tooth for that these days.
So is that a goal? Is that a goal?
You never know. It's one of those opportunities that it could happen.
You gonna connect with Elon Musk?
I have a number of people in that aerospace arena that are dear friends. I'm a pilot myself.
Okay.
Yeah, long-time pilot, flying for years. I was inspired by the astronauts. Always wanted to be one. But you never know, and that's the beauty of life. Every day is literally a new adventure if you're open to it and willing to keep learning in that direction.
So does Jim Keyes ever have a bad day?
Oh yeah, I'm human. I have the same old human weaknesses. I have times when I go, oh yeah, woe was me, and then I try to snap out of it and realize that's stupid.
Yeah, I talk about the pity party. It's okay to have a pity party, just don't stay there.
Yeah. Get over it.
Yeah, dip your feet in the water for the pity pool, dip it in there for a few minutes, an hour, a day, whatever, and then get out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
Too much to do. This is a beautiful place we live. This planet Earth is just an amazing place. And humanity is so incredible if we let it. If we want to learn from each other, it's every day. Like I said, if you can harness that natural curiosity, it can be a beautiful thing.
So it's important to come from a place of curiosity.
Oh yeah. It's a whole chapter in my book.
Yeah. When I get it, I'll hold it up and I'll do that thing you said. So that's great, Jim. I mean, look, I could talk for hours on this. I know you're spending your time here today, and I love this conversation. And you said we might go this direction, and you asked me if it'd be okay, and I'm all for it, man. I love this. I could all day. I'm a big guy and a big fan of this. But if somebody wanted to, and I don't know if this is possible or not, somebody wanted to connect with you, is it social media? How do they connect with you? If you're open.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm pretty well out there on social media. JamesWKeys.com is my website. For Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff is at JKeysAuthor.
Okay.
And the book itself, if you want to, I'm about to post the winners of that scholarship.
So this just happened.
Oh yeah, we just did this. So it's educationisfreedombook.com. And
okay.
You'll see little vignettes with the winners. The couple of the winners broke down in tears when I told them about their award, and just talked about what it meant to them, how it changed their life, that sort of thing.
Let me ask you one more question. Are you having more fun now or than doing this or when you were CEO of those companies?
I'm having a blast doing this, but I also loved running big companies. I mean, even Blockbuster, as challenging that was, taking on that challenge in the middle of a financial crisis in 2008, the whole world was collapsing.
Yeah.
Just a fascinating journey.
Yeah. And it's been guided the whole time, right?
Oh, yeah. I have that faith. I'll be okay.
But people think faith is like I know we got to end here, but people think that faith is like a hocus pocus thing, but it's not. It's a belief, and I kind of take the angle like, okay, yeah, I want my faith to increase. I want it to increase. I want it to increase. Well, try little things. Try little things. Put some trust in some little things, and when they work out, that's the litmus test piece. Okay, now I can trust bigger, have bigger faith, and bigger faith. That's kind of my philosophy.
Well, it is, and that's why on purpose, Rob. I mean, look, you and I are both proud of our Catholic faith, right?
Right.
I mean, in many ways, it was the first church. It was the house that Peter built on the rock.
On this rock.
Yeah. But there are so many other people that maybe they didn't grow up Catholic. It's not their fault. I mean, I grew up Baptist.
Yeah.
I had to find the Catholic faith. And so many other people out there. So when I put my faith in terms of Yoda's teaching or a passage out of Paulo Coelho's Alchemist,
Yeah.
it demystifies it in a way that I'm not trying to impose my faith on some young person who hasn't had that exposure. I'm leading them to a belief that will eventually lead them to grow their faith in hopefully a bigger way. But if they can just start with believing in themselves.
Yeah. You're planting seed. You're planting seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully grow.
Jim, this has been awesome for me. Been awesome. Well, look, man, if I appreciate your time again. Merry Christmas to you again. This has been awesome. I'm grateful to Ken Walls for making this introduction. And hang tight a second once we end this. But thank you so much. And until next time, everybody, let's go get chiseled.